If you miss some of these things, you're really going to have a harder time in tech sales because you're not going to be aware of some things that are going to happen in your journey on your road to six figures, or you may miss it entirely and just not get to that point. Tech sales is one of the most lucrative careers out there today. The average American worker makes around $50K per year. An entry-level SDR makes anywhere from $70K all the way up to $90 plus K in some cases per year in their first 3 to 6 months getting into the role. Wherein just about under 2 years from there on average, it's typical to promote into the next level of tech sales, which is account executive, where you're on average making anywhere from $120,000 a year all the way up to like $200,000 a year in your first year. Compare that to some of the most popular careers out there, the more well-known and well-pushed careers out there like doctor, lawyer, where after like 7+ years of school, you're coming out and making anywhere from like 60, 75K per year, not to mention the amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. And yes, there's potential to scale into high figures from there, but to spend almost a decade studying to get into a career path like that with similar, arguably, lucrativity is just mind-boggling. And that's a scary statistic comparison, especially given that tech sales doesn't require a college degree at all. There's a reason that this vehicle is becoming more and more popular and more people are switching into tech sales, leaving careers in like the health industry and the medical field and coming in to tech sales, right? And coming from all kinds of different places because you absolutely don't need any experience at all in this very lucrative, high income potential career that allows you to actually just work from home in your sweatpants if you want. I've literally made 6 figures plus in my sweatpants with this skill alone. So today, I'm gonna be talking about what tech sales is and what it actually takes to get to 6 figures and more with this vehicle, with this career of tech sales, from someone who's done this, from someone who was just like you some years back where I was interested in learning about this career path and potentially breaking into it after I was just completely lost after graduating school and was trying different jobs, working 9 to 5s, working in an office, and doing things that didn't really align with my long-term vision. I didn't like being constrained to one physical location or just, doing hourly work where I was just continuing to watch the clock and waiting till 5 or 6 p.m. each day to clock out, clock in, clock out, right? I wanted a vehicle that was autonomous, that allowed me to be more in control of my income and more control over my schedule and location and where I'm doing this, right? And it's actually building me real skills that actually contribute to what I want to do, right? A decent amount of jobs out there, majority of jobs that people get out of school, they don't really teach you any real skills. It's kind of just like admin type work. And that's exactly what I didn't resonate with and what I couldn't do. I didn't have drive to do, right? And so tech sales was really that thing that saved me. It changed everything for me. I started to learn real skills and actually be engaged in my work. I then went on to become a top performer out of hundreds of people in one of the most competitive companies in the space, HubSpot, where I fast-tracked my account executive promotion. I generated millions and millions of dollars in revenue. I made well over 6 figures. I've ran countless of trainings and was chosen to run trainings and mentor new hires and get them up to speed on best practices so that they can be successful, which I enjoyed so much that I decided to start a business around it, which is what you're looking at right now, helping people break into desirable roles for themselves, which I've been helping people for over a year now do. So let's actually get into it. What is the raw reality of actually what it takes to make 6 figures in this? The first thing I want to cover is the emotional cycle of sales. Okay, this is the skill curve that everyone goes through and nobody can escape. Okay, this is something that exists for any skill that you want to master. It's actually called the emotional cycle of change. And it doesn't just exist in sales, but it's really important to know in sales because this is the emotional cycle that happens to everybody. It's unescapable. And if you can be aware of it, it can help you crush it faster and easier and with less headache, okay? So there's different stages to this that I'll cover. So if you look at it on screen, stage 1 is uninformed optimism. Now this is the stage that everyone goes through when they're learning about tech sales. Everything is, super flashy, shiny. It's so lucrative, make 6 figures, people getting into roles, no experience. And that's all true. It's all true. But what you don't see behind the scenes is that this uninformed optimism that you have in terms of this being the easiest career, the quickest to make money, you're going to hit a hard reality when you move to stage 2, which is informed pessimism. This is where you actually start doing the thing and realize, whoa, there's a learning curve to this, okay? This isn't all peaches and cream. And that's with anything, okay? If everything were easy, okay? If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, and therefore it wouldn't pay as much as it does. That's what you have to realize, okay? And in life, if you want to make good money and achieve valuable skills, you have to do things that are hard, because that's what makes them valuable, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that they can't become easy. The better you get at it, the easier it gets, and that's what sharpening your skill set and learning and doing what you're doing right now, like watching content like this, can help you do, okay? But at stage 1, when I first got into HubSpot, I actually had tons of this uninformed optimism, and I actually did really well from the start. And this happens to a lot of people. You kind of come in, you don't have too much pressure yet, and you just have drive and ambition, and you have that new energy to just crush it, right? And a lot of people do. And I ended up crushing my ramp. I hit over 300% of my ramp numbers, completely blew it out of the park. And also, sales rewards the hustler, which is another principle too. And I was hustling and I got rewarded in proportion to that. But then what happened is, once I ramped up, I moved into stage 2 of informed pessimism, okay? This is when my quota started to increase from like the training wheel ramp, which is usually what happens. You gotta ease your way into that. And I started to kind of shake in emotions. I started to get a little bit anxious. Can I really hit this? Can I really maintain quota every month? Can I do this month to month? Is this really for me? Okay. This is informed pessimism. I had a little bit more awareness of how to book meetings, how to do the role, but I was a little scared on the other side of it. Okay. And then around 6 months in, I had one of the most terrifying months of my life, and that brought me down to the valley of despair. Guys, this is stage 3. Now, it sounds super scary. I'm going to help you ease through it. And if you just become aware of this, again, when you get to the valley of despair, which everybody does, you're going to be aware of it and be able to swim out of it easier, okay? So what happens was, I ended up hitting around 40% of my quota, okay? It was like halfway through the month, and I was like, dude, I don't have any meetings. Like, I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting any traction, and I'm rethinking my entire existence on if this career path can even work for me and if I can sustain this, okay? That's where I was at. And I tried everything I could. I was trying to, do so much. I had so much pressure. I was getting discouraged as well. It was a tough time, but there was value that came out of it, okay? And so what I did is I just plowed it through. I just stuck it through. I ended up missing, okay? And what did I do? Obviously, I took a look at the drawing board and said, okay, what am I doing wrong, right? And I got help from my manager, peers, and I found out some things that I was missing. I was going too fast. I wasn't spending enough time being intentional about my outreach, who I was emailing, who I was calling, right? There's a few things that I was doing that once I just corrected them, which if I hadn't gone through the valley of despair, I wouldn't have learned how critical those things are to maintain and wouldn't have learned the lesson. Once I got and implemented these lessons, I ended up absolutely crushing, hitting well over 100% of the next month, okay? I actually hit top of the leaderboard out of like 80 BDRs, I think it was, the next following month, okay? And this was because I went through the valley of despair and I came out the other end, okay? Now, this happens to everybody. It's actually a trend, especially with a lot of new hires, right? Even top performers, there's a trend where a lot of them go through the valley of despair, and sometimes they even do so bad they get put on a PIP, which if you don't know what that is, it's a performance improvement plan where you're doing really bad that they need to actually keep an eye on you and make sure that they're keeping tabs on you, because you are free in this role, okay? As long as you get your stuff done, nobody's going to bother you, right? And so performance improvement plan is what people go on when they need extra attention and make sure, like, all right, is this person actually doing it, right? And so that can happen to people, but then after that, they learn so much from being at that bottom that they blast out into stage 4 and the future stages, which I'm going to talk about, and they just continue to crush it. And this is exactly what happened to me. After I hit the valley of despair, I ended up continuously crushing, right? There was literally only 1 month where I was 1 meeting shy of my quota, and all the other ones were basically overperformance, okay? For the entire SDR career, all right? That's not that normal, okay? And it's because you don't only learn from winning. You don't only learn from winning, okay? If you just won, If everything's just easy, you just vibe every day, wake up, bop, send my email, make that call, do that, you're gonna miss out on lessons that are required for mastery. That's just simply not a accurate look at reality. And so there's value in mistakes and value in losing. This is why you don't get fired if you miss quota, guys, even multiple times, okay? Because there's lessons to pull. And if you're the type of person that can pull lessons, you're gonna do much better, okay? Now, the important thing to note here is this curve exists for everybody. And now that you're aware that, hey, there is a valley of despair, but if I just go through it and I learn what it's trying to teach me, then I'm going to come out on the other end. And knowing that is going to help you, okay? There's always ups and downs in sales. That's just how it works. It's the nature of sales. It's just how it works, okay? But you need to understand this curve if you want to get to six figures, because you can't make six figures in sales without it. I promise you that. So stage 5 is success and fulfillment. This is what I'm talking about. I then went on to fast track my account executive promo. I ended up, I had crazy months, outlier months as an SDR where I made well over like 10 grand in 1 month, right? So that's really what I want to pass to you. I want to pass you this skill curve. Now, stage 4 is informed optimism, where you're kind of like, okay, wow, I'm coming back, I can do this, right? Now, this exists for every skill, okay? But this is one of the most important things that you can understand as a beginner, and if you're trying to make six figures in sales, because you're probably going through this right now. Or maybe you're in a stage of uninformed optimism where you're like, dude, this is so cool, and I'm kind of setting your expectations to reality. This is gonna help you, okay? So remember this. Now, let's keep on track to our goal. What does it take to get to six figures? Now, how long did it take me to get to six figures, okay? Let's break down what six figures is. Six figures is basically 8,000 and some change in a month, okay? That's all it is, okay? Within 7 months of me being at HubSpot, I ended up hitting over 8,000 in a month, and I went on to do that pretty consistently, kind of floating at, I had like some outlier months where I did like 9,000, but then I had some months where I was kind of floating around like 8,000 ish, right? So that's technically six figures, right? And then I've had some crazy months as an SDR as well. So however you want to look at it, you just need to make 8K a month and some change, okay? So the reason I'm telling you this is because most people don't even get specific on how much they need to make in a month, right? So I think my highest month as an SDR, I made like 10,500 in a month, okay, as an SDR. And I think that was just a little over a year of being in the role. So what you want to do is get clear what your outcome is, six figures, okay? And you want to move with intention toward it. A lot of people are just doing a job to just do a job, okay? And they're not reverse engineering how they actually want to get it, okay? So what you want to do is you want to know your sales math. This is called sales math, and this is super important, okay? You need to understand what your commission structure actually is, how much you're actually getting paid, and break down how much are you going to get paid per meeting, and how much are you going to, and how many meetings do you need to book to make that 8K and change, like 8,300, I think is the exact number. You can even shoot for higher than that. You could shoot for 9,000 a month. Okay? Or in a month, right? Because then if you can hit that, you can replicate it, right? So you want to, I think the easiest way to do this is take your offer letter, whatever you get for the company, or just look at a commission structure of a company, right? And then put it into AI, right? And use AI to just say, hey, let me calculate how many meetings I actually need to book in a month to make a six-figure income, okay? And that's what you can do, and it's gonna give you a number, something like this. Here's an example on screen, where you just need to book X amount per month. Now there may be, every commission structure is different, right? A lot of people get paid more if the meeting shows up, or some people get paid more if the deal closes, right? And so all of these things can come into play, and so you wanna make the safest amount of metrics to shoot for in a month to make that target. And also by when, right? Because you also can promote into increasing your commission, which is usually what happens, where if you hit a certain amount, you're going to get paid more after that point. And so you can put a date to it and be like, all right, by this date, I'll be in this promotion seat. I'll be getting paid this commission structure, and this is how many meetings I'll need to book, okay? So maybe think like 6 months ahead and set the goal, right? Setting a goal is it's gonna unlock an extra gear in your brain. So many people don't do this, guys. I've paid thousands of dollars for performance coaching and mentorship, and this is one of the main things, is getting specific, right? I was just working with a client where we were doing this. He's currently in a role and he's trying to perform, and his goal is to make six figures in sales. And once we got clear on what he needed to do and when he wanted to achieve it by, something unlocked, okay? He felt it in his brain, in his body, and it activates an extra right? Extra drive. Guys, this is what's missing this is the difference between a top performer and someone who's just doing the job to do a job. Okay? So know your sales math, set the goal, and then also, this is the next thing. I like to use a structure like this. Here's an example, okay? Get clear on your why. Why do you want this goal? Because a lot of people lose motivation too often in sales, and they start floating away, and they're like, I don't even know if I can do this. I don't want to do it. Or they burn out or whatever. And the main reason for that is they don't know their why, guys. And this has happened to me, of course. Now, maybe I'm a little bit extreme, more than some people who get into this. To remember your why and keep it close by is going to be so powerful. Why are you doing this? Maybe you want to hit six figures so that you can help your family, so that you can prove to yourself that you have what it takes to build an independent life and be self-sufficient. Maybe you want to master the skill, and six figures is a good reflection that you've mastered this remote skill that can now allow you to do it anywhere you want, or just be able to generate income from thin air, or never be out of a job, right? Because sales is always going to be there for you, even if you try out new things in entrepreneurship or business. And so maybe that's something that is your deep why, right? Ask yourself, why, if I don't do this, what happens if I don't achieve this? Ask yourself, what happens if I don't achieve it, right? That's going to be a powerful driver for you. And if you can every day just look at your goal, all right, what am I shooting for? When? Why do I want it? Right? The how is going to become clear, right? And the how is your sales math, which we've already broken down. But if you look at that every day, that's going to give you a boost. Way better than any cup of coffee, any supplement, any Adderall, anything that like some people use to like force performance. It's going to do more than that. It's going to unlock. It's going to let the reins loose. You're going to be running like a horse on a racetrack. I'm telling you, okay? So this is the next thing you want to do if you want to hit six figures. How can you hit something you're not setting a target for? Now, yes, maybe if you don't do this, you may eventually hit it, right? If you just show up every day and open up your laptop, which can happen. But I guarantee you, if you do this, you're going to hit it sooner, and you're going to be more proud of it because you sought it out. You set it out with intention. And you're going to increase the chances that you're actually going to achieve this thing, whereas you might not. You might go through the emotional cycle of sales, and you might quit at the valley of despair before you even get to six figures, okay? So I don't want this to happen to you. That's the next thing you need to do, all right? So the other thing that you need to do is not reinvent the wheel. Okay, this is another thing that it actually takes. When I got into HubSpot, the first thing I did was study success. And this is the next thing that you need to do, because every company that wherever you work for, every company is different. Every company has a different sales cycle. They have a different person that you're selling to. They have a different style of sales. They have different client testimonials and things that you highlight that works for their sales process, okay? And there's different types of styles that work with different people. If you're selling to like blue collar workers, it's a different conversation than if you're selling to really highly technical business owners, right? Okay, so you need to understand that everything is going to be different, and every company is going to have their own version of success. Okay, so you don't want to get in somewhere and think that you know everything and reinvent the wheel. Even if you've mastered this, the first thing you want to do is look at what top performers are doing and what good looks like. Look at their emails. What does a good email look like? What's converting? What's working for this offer, for this company, right? Listen to calls. What calls are having meetings being booked? And listen to those, right? What calls are people having that are converting to actually closing deals, right? Listen to those. You want to model what you see from that before you can innovate, okay? And if that's the first thing you do, I remember when I first got hired, there's tons of like trainings, and every company has this, where there's tons of like self-paced training that can be super valuable, where you go through kind of like some presentation and stuff. But what I did more of that set me apart from everybody else and helped me crush my ramp was I just listened to the meetings being booked, and I studied the emails that were already converting, and I somehow found a way to find that, okay? And I'm sure every company you're in, there's a way to find that, okay? And that's what I did. You could read all day about a book about how to book meetings, or you could just listen to the meeting actually being booked. You can read all day about how to swim, or you can actually just try to swim, or like watch somebody swim. It's going to be more effective, you see? So there's different levels of education, okay? I went straight to the source and just marinated my brain with good best practice material, okay? This is something a lot of people don't talk about, but it's just true, okay? This is why books can only be valuable to a certain extent, all right? Those are some of the main things, guys. I promise you, if you do this, I promise you, if you're understanding and aware that you're going to go through some hiccups and you're going to go through the valley of despair, and then you're breaking down your sales math and having a clear goal with a clear why, and then modeling after top performers and what they're doing well, you have drive. You have exactly what you need to do and replicate. You have clarity on when you want to hit something by. So now your subconscious is going to work at it all night, which is how it works. And that's another spiritual topic, but you can't mess it up. You can't mess it up, okay? Now, it's not guaranteed. Obviously, anything can happen, and there's a few variables that come into play, like what company are you in, right? Do they have the actual structure to allow you to get paid what you're promised, right? Is it a good offer? Is there good brand awareness? Do people know about it? Or is it just brand new, just made, and nobody's even sold it yet, right? All these variables are going to come into play to where if this is going to actually be feasible for you, this goal of 6 figures, which, by the way, if you're someone who's trying to break into tech sales and wants to make sure that they position themselves in an offer and a role in a company that actually has the 6-figure potential. This is what I've been helping with people with for over a year now in my one-on-one mentorship. If you're interested in checking that out, the first link in the description is where you can book a free call with me, where we literally just have a conversation, no pressure, about whether my mentorship actually makes sense, right, for you, whether it makes sense for us to work together. I've been helping people break into roles in a matter of weeks. For some people, it's a matter of months. But regardless, it's roles that you have the income potential. And that's the main thing, because I could tell you about me. When I first got into tech sales, I kind of was just doing things on my own and didn't have the right mentorship. And I got into a role that was a startup that had no structure, no top performers to model, and the product was brand new to the market and it didn't have much credibility yet. And so I struggled. You bet I struggled, okay? So if that's your situation, you know, getting some mentorship and help to get in the right place might be a good move for you, whether it's with me or anybody else. Because if you want to make 6 figures and that's your goal, you're going to need to be able to be in the right company, because positioning and being in the right boat is the biggest first priority as well. Okay, so I want to make that clear. I have one more tip for you that I promise you is going to simplify everything and help accelerate this for you. Now, this is called a growth thesis. Now, after we've done what we've done here, your sales math, your drive, your clear goal, right? You can create what's called a growth thesis, where basically you just write down a couple bullet points of, if I just do X, it is unreasonable that I won't succeed, and figure out what that X is. A lot of you guys have done math class before where it's like you're trying to solve for X, right? This is what we're doing here. And this is going to be a project you're going to embark on, because I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be for your specific offer, but I can tell you that you can play around with this and make it super simple, that if you just do X, for example, if I just have this many conversations a day with the right people at the right companies that are good fits for the software I have, and if I just send X amount of quality emails, and if I learn something and listen to top performers and learn something new from them each day, it's practically unreasonable for you not to succeed. Now, you can model those that I just said here, because I think those are actually some of the best, but it may be different, right? It may be different for you, but that's what I did, and that's how I've really just simplified everything. Each day I woke up and I took action on my growth thesis, and that's how I ended up being successful, okay? Now, you don't have to rush this process, guys, and do it as fast as possible. There's no race to 6 figures. Now, you can have urgency and you can do that, but if you're in a good role and you have top performers to learn from, you have good commission structure with a clear progression track to making, to promoting, and also to making the income you want, all you have to do is really just show up every day and do the work and learn and take action, and eventually you will hit it, okay? But the clearer you can get on it, the smoother that path is going to be, the more exciting that path is going to be, and the more you're bulletproofing it to where you can't fail, okay? So this is what it actually takes to take it to that 6 figures, okay? So it may take months for you, it may take a year, it may take over a year for some people. It depends where you are, what company you're at, and how effectively you're implementing these steps, okay? The other thing I'll mention is go all in, guys. Now, I'm someone who has so many interests, but sticking with one thing for a decent period of time is the number one way my life has shifted dramatically, okay? I've been in sales for well over 3 years. I've done YouTube for well over 3 years now, okay? This isn't my first video here. You could tell I've been doing this for a while. And these are two things that I've stuck to without pivoting or getting what's called shiny object syndrome, which I've had in the past, where I tried like e-com, I tried like drop shipping, I tried freelance copywriting that I left because I didn't go through the skill curve. Okay, these are things that I stuck with through the hardship and that have now came into massive fruition for me, that I'm reaching toward mastery. Now, there's always new levels, new devils. There's always new areas. I wouldn't say I've mastered these things. There's always improvement, okay? But I've gotten to a very high level in both these arenas. And so if you're someone who's just like struggling to figure out what to do, stick with something, okay? This doesn't mean you have to just only do that. I've always had things on the side, but have your main thing, right? Whether it's sales or something else. A lot of people, like some people just want to use sales as like a vehicle to support them financially while they do their main thing, and that's also okay. But have something, have a main thing, have a side thing, but stick with something. That's the main thing I want to pass. All right, guys. So I'll leave it at that. Again, sales is one of the most lucrative careers out there, tech sales specifically, okay? You work remote, you don't have to report to somebody all day, right? You have autonomy over your schedule. You can do work in the morning, go to the gym, do whatever you need to after. I've seen millions of ways people structure their days because as long as you get your stuff done and you perform, nobody's gonna ask you where you are, what you're doing, all right? That's the best part about this vehicle. And I'm so for that because that's exactly what I wanted, right? When I graduated school, I was in such a state of pain in sitting in an office desk or just being tied to a specific location and just kind of watching the clock, clocking in, clocking out, these hours, commuting, spending hours, and not seeing how that was tied to anything I wanted to do in life. All right. Once I got into tech sales, I actually had drive. It engaged me. It activated something in my brain that allowed me to be like, okay, like every single day now I'm doing work that is actually building my skill set. Right? It's helping me become a better person, self-development, sharpening my discipline, time management, getting better with people, relationships, network. It's putting me in a place where I know how to, where I'm becoming the person that I want to be. And all I have to do is wake up and open my laptop. Okay, that's what sold me on tech sales. All right. So for the past year, I've been helping people with no college degree, absolutely no experience, and with just a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection, break into lucrative tech sales roles and master this remote skill for themselves in a pretty quick amount of time. For example, Ryan, he was one of my first clients where he was trying for months to break into a remote tech sales role and was applying to everything and just getting no traction, okay? He started working with me, skyrocketed his results, and ended up in just less than 3 weeks breaking records in a role after landing it and crushing it, making around like 6K per month just from the start in the early stages with a clear path to account executive, okay? Now he's literally living out his dream. He just bought a van, he's building it, and he's on a good track, okay? Tyvin, he moved out of his parents' home and was struggling to pay his bills, right? He was completely on his own. He never worked a corporate job before. And with my help, he landed a sales role that fit his exact values with on-target earnings of 70K per year. And again, a clear path toward that progression, all right? Jeremiah worked with me when he was literally straight out of high school, no prior experience, no degree or any college, anything like that, and is now in a role where he has a crystal clear path to making 6 figures, and he's only 20 years old, guys. I've literally worked alongside people who were 19, 20, getting into some of the biggest companies out there with no college degree, and my network in some of these companies, these people are very young, no college, and making crazy amounts of money, well over 6 figures, okay? This is the reality of this path, okay? I would have called bullshit and skepticism, you know, in a younger version of me. But what I've seen, the amount of time I've been in this field, it's just undeniable. It's just undeniable, okay? So if you're interested in potentially getting some help with this, again, the first link in the description is where you can check out my one-on-one mentorship. I only have a few slots that available for people to work with me because I have limited bandwidth. I can't help everybody at one time because of the close amount of attention care and drive that I give my one-on-one clients. And this is why they get the results that they do. Okay. So if you're someone who doesn't feel like they want to wait, if you want to take this seriously, book that free call with me where we can see if it makes sense for you. If it doesn't make sense, I'll let you know that. And I know it can be scary to like, is this Chad a real person? Like, you know, I know what it can be scary to like, you know, make a jump, but that's just your old self. It's your old self wanting to stay where you are because it's scared of the new identity that you're going to achieve if you actually commit to a new path, right? And it sees that call, even though it's free and no pressure, and I'm not going to push you into making a decision, it still sees that as a threat to its current identity. Okay, so if you really want to make a change in yourself, taking that leap is going to be the first step in it. Okay, so I hope to see you on a call. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to making more because I really enjoy this. This is my passion, making YouTube videos for you guys that have value, realness, and authenticity. That's what I strive for. All right, so that's it. I'll see you in another one. I'm out. Take care. Bye-bye.